My name is John Passfield, and I'm going to read from my novel, Elenora Duse, Let Me Have My Wings. The title of this reading will be Elenora Duse, Video 5, Duse's Great Roles. Here's the cover, Elenora Duse, Let Me Have My Wings, a photograph of the historical Elenora Duse in 1894 in a canal, in a gondola on the Grand Canal in Venice, a novel by John Passfield. Here's a summary on the back cover. Elenora Duse spent her whole career producing, directing, and acting in the great female roles of the theatrical repertoire. She claims that when she's not on stage, she does not exist. Now, a poet publishes a novel in which an aging actress's only role is to be a young poet's muse. The publication of the novel is a crisis for Duse, as the fictional portrait of a pathetic, clinging female threatens to fill the void and become her personal myth in the public mind. But her greatest fear is that the imagery of the poet's book will alter the way she thinks of herself. Elenora Duse is one of the great actors of her day, the late 19th century. She and her great rival, Sarah Bernhardt, divide the theatrical world between them. As representatives of two entirely different conceptions of acting, Bernhardt, the histrionic, romantic, demonstrative style of acting, and Duse, the realistic, emotional, psychological style of acting. Not surprisingly, the great roles that the main character, Elenora Duse, portrays on the stage are present in the text of this novel as a layer of imagery in her mind. She considers 7 of her roles: Marguerite Gautier, Ophelia, Phaedra, Nora, Cleopatra, Cassandra, and Hedda. I will read 4 of those roles in this video as they appear in her mind as images in the novel. Let's look at Ophelia first. We'll go to page 36 in the novel. Here we are. Oh, I can never play Lord Hamlet. Sarah has me there, Sarah Bernhardt, of course. She can hide behind a costume and a makeup mask. But Ophelia and I are generous. Me to she, and she to I. Ophelia gives me everything I need. The next image, a page later of imagery. I sit and watch a play as Ophelia. She sits and watches a play as me. Beside us sits Lord Hamlet. He of the letters whose pages have burned my hands. He of the letters whose words have burned my eyes. Then we go to page 39, just a couple of pages later in the same chapter of thought. What in these actors and their actions does Lord Hamlet see? He mutters comments as the actors ply their trade. He could be a dramatic critic, so acute are his perceptions. I'll admit that the play seems Greek to me. And then the 4th and final image in her mind about Ophelia. I sit beside Lord Hamlet and watch the play. Nearby as fellow watchers sit king and queen. I see myself in every character, those who are masters, those who are slaves, those who are wise, and those who are foolish, those who are doomed, and those who will ultimately survive. Does every other watcher see the same? Well, that's Ophelia as a character in her mind. Nora, page 68, chapter 9. Let's have a look. Here we are. Okay. So, is she Ophelia or is she Nora? In terms of the way her life is turning out and her response to that life. Excuse me. I like to play Nora as young. I feel young when I play her. I always enjoy the taste of macaroons. Ibsen has quite a sense of humor. Some have said that I make the early scenes too light. But Nora, little Nora and I, are in our own little world. We know each other's thoughts at every stage. And then we go about a page further for the second Nora image, leaving out a page of images that are in the novel, which I won't read, that are commenting on this imagery, the Nora imagery, and are being commented on by the Nora imagery. Oh, how I enjoy the simple situation. I'm a child and I'm expected to act as a child. It's a very seductive experience. Torvald loves me in this mode. He loves to play inside the doll's house. He loves to admonish and instruct. You would never suspect that he is a doll as well. I take his orders with a grain of salt, of course, but I like to be told what to do. The chick seems to hack his tunes inside the skull. Then a couple of pages later, we get 2 more images about Nora. The house is tumbling all around me. The ceiling timbers crash to the floor. The floorboards open up and I tumble through. The doll's house that Torvald built has been shaken by a subtle breeze, a simple puff of wind on a quiet day. Take a broom and sweep the debris from the cellar floor. Oh, who to blame? Torvald or I? Or my father or society or no one at all? It was Torvald who built the doll's house, but it was I who passed the hammer and the nails. And then her final thought on Nora. A break is not a break unless it is final and clean and pure. Whatever blood falls on the carpet is lost and gone. Bandages cover, but they do not heal. Healing is what takes place inside. I practice slamming the door when I'm alone. As soon as Torvald comes in, I shall start my diatribe. I shall be right, and he shall be wrong. I shall be strong, and he shall be weak. I shall take this axe and sever my own right arm. So is she Nora or is she not Nora? Let's look at Cassandra, page 102. These are all great classical roles that she plays while on stage. She's one of the great actresses of her time, the late 19th century. Slumped in a chair in my dressing room, I'm exhausted before the play starts. Tonight I'm playing Cassandra again. We live, Cassandra and I, on a different plane, as if underwater, as if on a cloud. All the other actors converse as if the world is a logical place. For Cassandra and I, the world is no place at all. And then we go to page 104, just over the page here. Oh, how you mock me. Oh, how you mock me. You think that Cassandra is as mad as can be. I see everything in this room. I know every thought you think. I see time unfold in an instant before and behind. I knew you before I met you. I will know you when you are gone. I know the road you have traveled and when and where that road will end. And a couple of pages further, leaving out, of course, a couple of pages of thought on other topics. And then back to Cassandra as a thought that comments on those other thoughts. You do not know me. You cannot know me. What I know and what I proclaim. I am Cassandra, the girl who is painted on the vase. A snake has whispered his truths to me, and I, in turn, have shouted these truths to you. And the fourth and final Cassandra image in her mind. You are as deaf as Agamemnon. You are as doomed by what you don't know. None of my truths has brought me succor. My every warning has met a deaf ear. I am Cassandra, whom the children laugh to scorn. I am as doomed as your royal house. I am as doomed as your dog and your cat. But all of my truths will be revealed in the coming of time. So, comparison and contrast. Am I Cassandra? Am I not? Am I Cassandra? Yes, and why? Am I Cassandra? No, and why? The final one I'll read, although there are 7, is Hedda, page 120. Let me get it here. And, of course, Hedda Gabler, the play by Henrik Ibsen. I believe I was made for Ibsen. I believe that Ibsen was made for me. If only D'Annunzio had risen to that level, and thus the young poet who wrote this novel that has so disturbed her, so upset her. A shallow poet with a brilliant sparkle of tawdry jewels. But Ibsen reached down into the mud and found the gem and held it up to the cleansing light. Ibsen, the man who understands the female heart. And then a second thought about Hedda. Judge Brack comes to see me. He feels quite welcome in my home. He speaks of a party that he monitored last night, of a person who had no vine leaves in his hair. He speaks to me of his future plans. He speaks of the things that people will say. He speaks, of doors that were open that will now be closed, that he will be a constant presence in my life. If I were playing his part, I believe I would twirl my mustache. Then we go over a couple of pages for two more images by Elenora Duse of the role of Hedda that she's played so many times. There's no exit from the stage. Judge Brack has blocked every exit that I can see. No. What exit do I not see? I stand in silence as he talks. He talks of valuable notebooks, of superfluous persons, of mutual understandings, while I think. And then the final image unit about Hedda. I shall have to shoot Judge Brack, or I shall have to shoot myself. Seems to me at the moment that there's no other choice. Who are you to judge me, you who hold me in your hand? Yes, I see it clearly now. A moment of perfect clarity is mine. Yes, I have my father's pistol. I see now that I shall have to shoot Judge Brack. Well, here's a note that I wrote in response to those images, the images of the great roles that she plays. Excuse me. This novel does not explain itself, just as the subconscious mind of the main character, Elenora Duse, does not explain itself to her conscious mind. The presence of a narrator who explains the meaning of a novel, who explains in prose what a character is thinking, is an interesting literary device which is not found in the actual world, in which and by which we humans live our lives day by day. We have our life experience, what we can call the information of our lives, what we eat for breakfast, what we do in order to make a living, what we do in our leisure time, and we have the questions that intrigue us, sometimes plague us, sometimes threaten to drive us mad. All of this on the surface of our minds, available to us at a prose level of thought in grammatical terms. We also have the churning, boiling, restless, ever-shifting, subterranean, subconscious world of the imagery of our lives, always there, deep in our minds, always ebbing and surging, but only visible to us in our conscious minds when we awake and realize that we are thinking in images, in our nightmares and our dreams. So, we can yearn for a narrator, as in the prose novels about life, who will explain the connection between our surface life experience and the subterranean image generating and image patterning of our nightmares and our dreams. But we have no such narrator, no such interpreter, unless we supply that want ourselves. The mind is a suffering instrument for sure, but it is also a problem-solving instrument. Only we, our individual selves, can attempt to dive deeply into our subconscious, subterranean world of imagery and dredge these images up to the surface, where we can examine the image patterns that our life experience imagery and our dream nightmare imagery are making in the depths of our minds. When we are in conscious touch with the imagery by which we think, we are in touch with the deepest levels of imagery in our minds. To get in touch is the task of Elenora Duse in this novel. It is the task of the main character in every item of serious literature. Now, a question for the reader. Are the great roles that the actress plays merely information imagery to her, or is she aware that these great roles are the potential problem-solving imagery of her mind? Well, you'd have to read the novel, I guess, to have an opinion on that question. Once again, the novel is Elenora Duse, Let Me Have My Wings, a novel by John Passfield. It's on Amazon, and there's information there. My publisher's website is rocksmillspress.com, rocksmillspress.com. More information there. My website, johnpassfield.ca. 2 free books there. A planning notebook leading you, because I led myself through the process of planning and writing the novel, and a journal in which I reflected on the novel and on novels in general. How to write them is one thing I reflected on as I was polishing this novel. So have a look at that at johnpassfield.ca if you're interested. And lastly, thank you for watching this video.